The best
Quick takes, let's get it. We're fired up for all these games, right, Doug? We head to Memphis for a quick take as LeBron and AD look to win their first playoff series since the bubble as they take on Ja Morant and the Grizzlies in a crucial Game 5 closeout matchup. SA, will the Lakers get the JOB done tonight?
I don't believe so. I believe that Memphis will be ready for this game. They'll be playing lights out, and I'm not sure I have faith that Anthony Davis will show up tonight. I believe he'll show up in Game 6. I believe the Lakers will close them out in Game 6. But I think Memphis is gifted enough, and I think Ja Morant goes berserk tonight. And they pull out Game 5, and they force a Game 6 back in L.A.
Other major news reminder, Aaron Rodgers is a Jet.
Dylan Brooks now, I am going to go crazy, who leads the world in technical fouls, who is unembraceable if you're not a Memphis fan. And then Morant, too. And then you lose a horrific game in Game 4. When LeBron gets the layup, you lose in overtime. And then you don't talk to the reporters after the game. I know I'm old school. Got a lot of guys there on deadline. Need a quote, and the both of you blow off the media? Blow off the media. Did Memphis say you got to talk to the media? You're John Moran, you're making $50 million. You can't give the media 5 minutes. And Brooks, who's got a lot to say, who thinks the world wants to hear from him. And by the way, Dylan, they don't. They don't. Trust me, they have no interest.
I need to know.
But then, when we need to hear a quote, hey, you know what? It's an awful loss. You blow everybody off and go to the team plan and don't talk. That is a disgrace. Those two bother me.
Here's RJ addressed this yesterday, and I'm glad you brought this up. It's something you should be mad about. It's something you should be mad about. I'm mad about Julius Randle.
Yes.
Didn't close Game 4 at the Garden. Absolutely. He leaves before talking to you.
Good point. I should have brought that one up.
Here's my advice to any NBA player. When you don't talk to the media, what was a minor story then becomes a bigger story.
Right.
Just own it. Take ownership
5
of
minutes.
it. Take ownership of it.
I think it's evidence on the part of a few, because most players don't do that.
Yeah, correct.
It's a sign of mental weakness. You can talk when you think you're in a good position, but the second it twists negatively towards you, you can't take it. And it really, really shows your absence of intestinal fortitude. I certainly believe that is the case with Julius Randle. I'm very disappointed in him because New Yorkers loved him for a couple of years ago. Then he went downhill last year. He couldn't take the heat. This year he's playing well and gave him some love again. But then you sticking up the joint in a few games, and you won the game after Tom Thibodeau benched you. And then you won the game, and you walked out, and you were ticked off.
I should have brought him up.
So winning wasn't a priority.
Good one.
You get your numbers won.
You're on fire.
So that one's good. Now, this one's a little personal.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Lakers survived a crazy OT win over the Grizzlies to take a commanding 3-1 series lead. LeBron posted the first 2020 game of his remarkable career. He was asked about it afterwards.
LeBron, do you ever amaze or surprise yourself?
Yep. When?
Did that happen tonight?
When my teammates told me I had 20 and 20, I had no idea that I had 20 and 20. It's the first time I've done it in my career. I've done some pretty cool things in my career. I've never had 20 and 20 before.
Sure did have 2020. All right, Stephen A., what's the deal? Is this series all over?
I'm not going to go that far. If you're asking me about the outcome, in other words, are the Lakers going to win the series, I believe they're going to win this series. I think that Memphis wins Game 5. I think when they go back to Memphis, they'll answer the call and they'll force the Game 6. And obviously the Lakers could give you a heart attack at any given moment because something happens with them. Last night we were having a heart attack because after 3 quarters, Anthony Davis had 4 points. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Because obviously when he showed up in Games 1 and 3, they handled their business. When he didn't show up in Game 2, they lost that game. My mentality was if Anthony Davis doesn't show up, the Lakers don't win this game. They stepped up last night. I mean, D'Angelo Russell with back-to-back threes. I mean, they was down 97-90, and then he comes out and he hits 3 straight threes. I think that saved the game for them. Obviously, LeBron James was absolutely sensational. I just sit back, and while we're discussing basketball and analyze it, all I'm going to say is something that I've said on many occasions. I've got him number 2 all time. LeBron James is doing such great things. I want JJ might fall off his chair when I say this. I almost might be willing to say I'm no longer, nobody's going ahead of Jordan.
Oh, okay.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, it's almost an insult to even bring up the debate anymore. even though I'm still a Jordan guy, number one, that's how I am. I'm not moving from there.
Why is that an insult?
Because the man is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he just finds different ways to get it done. And some of the things that he's done in his 20th season, he's the best player on the floor. I just can't say enough about what I'm seeing from him. But in the end, I will say, to answer this question quickly, the series, I believe the Lakers will win it in 6 games. Memphis will win Game 5. Lakers close it out in 6.
What is this change of tone for you?
I'm just saying.
What?
It's fluid, JJ.
I'm like,
Fluid.
It's
Fluid.
fluid on this show, apparently.
But JJ, we're going to miss him when he's gone. We're going to miss him when he's gone.
Let's never take for granted what we're seeing from LeBron James, what we're seeing from Steph Curry at 35.
Yeah.
In that Sacramento series, he's been sensational. LeBron, it was on the graphic, oldest player ever, regular season or playoffs, to get a 2020 game. 2 clutch buckets, scores the game-tying shot at the end of regulation.
Hard layup.
Then gets basically the game-clinching and one in overtime. How about the 2 charges he took last night? And those weren't just like flopping charges. Those are, I'm going to get run over, and this is going to hurt. You can't say enough about what he's doing.
Thank God Ja didn't fall on his head.
Look, this series is over. I'm agreeing with Stephen A. I think there's a chance Memphis can win Game 5. The Lakers are going to win this series. And as good as LeBron has been, and as important as Anthony Davis is, the reason for me has been the play of Hachimura and Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves in particular has looked completely in command at all times in this series. This is a guy, if you had told us 4 or 5 months ago that we'd be in a playoff series against the Memphis Grizzlies and they're running their offense through him in the fourth quarter, legitimately. There was so many times in that fourth quarter, especially once D'Angelo Russell was out, LeBron's playing off the ball, and they're running offense through Austin Reeves. He's 18 a game, 49%, 41% from 3 in this series. What worries me for the Grizzlies is this. Like, Bane has had to do so much on the defensive end. I think he's required to do so much in the half court to get their offense going. I think it's worn on him. He hasn't shot the ball well. But what really worries me is Dillon Brooks. And his play this series, look, this is not to kill Dillon Brooks, because I do think at times he is a valuable player. His defense hasn't been good on LeBron. LeBron's 12 for 20 against him as the primary defender. And if you watched last night, every single time that Ja Morant had the ball, that Desmond Bane had the ball up top, they're bringing Dillon Brooks, his guy, over, essentially ignoring him and daring him to shoot. 5 for 20 in this series in wide open threes. The Memphis Grizzlies can't win if they can't get production from guys out of other than Desmond Bane and Ja Morant.
Yeah. Series is, I hate to say things are over when team gets to 3, right? Memphis, I think, is going to win Game 5. I'm just not going to repeat everything you guys just said, because I completely agree. I think Memphis wins Game 5. Ultimately, the Lakers win the series. Here's the one catch in all of it, though, when this could get dicey. If Memphis wins Game 5, Anthony Davis, right? The seismograph that he is.
Yes.
Game 1, spectacular. Game 2, disinterested, I thought, most of the game, which just blew my mind.
Look comatose.
Literally looked passive in a moment like that. Game 3, spectacular. Game 4, struggles the entire night. Had a couple big plays late. Struggled the entire night. Because of the inconsistency of Anthony Davis, how can I know exactly what Anthony Davis would be in a Game 6 in L.A. if it's 3-2, knowing that that's your last home game in the series and the pressure that would be in the building in the fourth quarter of a close game? So not knowing that, the only reason I say the door is still somewhat open for Memphis, and I think Ja Morant has a competitive will to make sure that this team's going to come ready. They're going to continue to play hard and continue to fight. So that's why I think this could get interesting and could get dicey. Here's why it bodes well for the Lakers, though, ultimately.
Okay.
What we're talking about. Every time I watch Austin Reeves, I'm more impressed.
Yes.
The dude has added handle during the season. Guys don't typically do that, right? You work on that in the offseason. All of a sudden now he's going behind the back twice and shaking guys, running ball screen. I'm like, whoa, I didn't see that in December. Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, they remade the team at the trading deadline. So now those guys can play well in a night when LeBron gets 20. It's not a big scoring night for him. AD struggles all night, and they still won the game because of these other guys. That's why it not only bodes well for this series, it gets very interesting going forward if they are to get past the Memphis Grizzlies. because of the way supporting cast is playing.
Go ahead and chime in.
I was going to bring up that point, but that's the big point to me is I wouldn't have said this 3 months ago. The Lakers supporting cast has been better in this series than Memphis' supporting cast. And based on these two teams' defense, based on these two teams struggling at times in the half court, to me, Hachimura and Reeves are, it's crazy to say this, they're the difference makers in this series. One thing about AD, I just want to bring this up, because, I agree with you. Offensively, out of sorts in games 2 and games 4, but he still has value.
Oh, yeah.
And
let's acknowledge Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s defense. Those guys on both ends, or on the defensive end, against whoever they're matched up against, have been great in this series. Last night, Anthony Davis as the primary defender on contests, Grizzlies were 3 for 18. He's a big reason why.